Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. First things first, if you wouldn't mind giving me a like and a subscribe, that would be very much appreciated. This one is going to be a little bit exciting, well, for me anyway. In last week's video, you might remember I teased we were going to go and look at some cows. We never actually got there and we're planning on going this week. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to explain what we're going to look at, why, and how that is going to change how we farm in the future. For those of you who haven't seen my videos before, I thought I'd just give you a bit of a background. Essentially, we run around about 140 suckler cows, which for the UK is a reasonable sized operation, but my plan is to get it up towards 200. Our cows are mainly a British Blue cross British Friesian, and we've reared them historically from calves right through to breeding, and they tend to give us the cow that we want. We want a smaller cow because big cows are expensive to keep. They eat too much food, so we wanted a smaller cow that's docile, easy working, and they really have in the past suited us well. When we've got our cow, we tend to put them onto one of these four bad boys behind us. These are some Charolais bulls. We use these Charolais bulls because we buy them on their EBVs. Their EBVs are their estimated breeding values, and essentially it is a scientific way of guessing, pretty much, what kind of cow they're going to produce or what kind of animal their young stock is going to produce. So we've got Hornblower, we've got Lewis, we've got Paul, and we've got 007, and these guys go out in June and then they come off 12 weeks later so that we start calving the 1st of March. Just to give you an example of why we bought some of them, this is Hornblower. Hornblower has a terminal index of 72, which is pretty good. This one is Lewis. Lewis has the easiest calving. He's a plus 27 on calving ease. So we put him on the heifers because they're easy calving. We have Paul here. Paul is a general good quality bull. He's an easy carver. He produces some seriously good weight gains at 400 days and 600 days. So we bought, and he has a really good eye muscle area. So we bought Paul because he produces good quality beef. And then we've got this beauty here. This is 007, and he again is very similar to Paul. He's just a great all-round bull. So when we have crossed our bulls and our cows, we end up with animals that look a bit like these guys behind me. These guys are 7-month-old steers and heifers. For those of you who don't know what steers are castrated males, and heifers are obviously the females. These guys are all in here together. They've been weaned, and they've got this big, essentially, from milk and grass, which is all pretty cheap. Then when they grow up and they get a bit older, they look like this. Essentially, these are some 19-month-old heifers that we've had out at grass all summer. They've been rotationally grazed and they've come in to finish, and some of these guys are getting towards done now. They look an absolute picture. So you're probably looking at the whole system and thinking, well, that works well, why do you want to change it? And we don't really want to change it. It has worked well for us in the past. But unfortunately, we have lost our supply of calves. So if you remember a minute ago, I said that we buy all of our cows in as calves and we rear them. We were buying them from a local dairy farm on a grass-based system, really high health status, suited us down to the ground. Unfortunately, like I said, we've lost that supply and we're gonna have to think of something a little bit different. I don't want to go to the market, start buying cows, because I don't know what I'm going to be buying. I don't know where they come from, and I don't really want cows coming from here, there and everywhere and farms from all over the place. I could find another source of calves, but I don't want Holstein in the herd. So, and that is generally what we have around here. So yeah, we're gonna have to think of something different, and that is why we're gonna go look at these cows. Okay, I get it. So you're dying to know what we're thinking. What we're actually gonna go and look at is some stabilizer cattle. Now, stabilizer cattle are a pedigree breed, but they're ultimately bred back to a 4-way cross. And the 4-way cross is a Red Angus, a Hereford, a South Devon and a Gelvie. And what happened was, back in the 70s, a farmer called Lee Leachman of Colorado decided to cross these different breeds to try and create the ultimate suckler cow. And what he found was that the Mark II cross, which they dubbed the stabilizer, was the most profitable cross. It had the best temperament, it was docile, it was milky, it mothered well, it was fertile, it grew like the clappers, and they went from there with the breed essentially and started breeding more of them. The now is I don't know how many there is worldwide, hundreds of thousands of them. And I think there's around about 12,000 in the UK. And we're going to go and look at a farmer who has some not too far away from us, about 45 minutes. And he also has potentially some in-calf heifers for sale that we could, you know, if we like them and we want to try them, we could buy them this autumn or this winter and carve them in the spring and ultimately get a feel for the breed. And if we do like them, we got on well, we can go from there. Another reason why we're looking at the stabilizer cattle is because there's an element of trust there. The boss man of the stabilizer cattle company in the UK is a guy called Seth Waring, and Seth, we met 15-20 years ago probably on a Beef Expo farm tour, and at that point Seth had just been appointed by Keenan as our Keenan feed nutritionist, and we worked with Seth for a fair few years before he moved on, and we got on really well. We trust him, and I feel like if I ask him a question and he gives an answer, that it's honest, and ultimately having that sort of element of trust in this industry is something that goes a long way. And I know that a lot of farmers will work with people that they trust, and ultimately that's another reason, another big plus for the stabilizers for us. So we're going to have a look at a few. And here they are, a lovely bunch of heifers. Some of these are potentially for sale, and they are as docile as anything, as you can tell, just like stood around the buggy. They love a little bit of fuss. Really amazed at how fleshy they are, considering they've only had some grass. They've been grazed at pasture and then they were outwintered in a corral. This whole farm, the farmer, the cattle, the whole setup is really impressive. So hopefully I'll be able to come back and have a look at these girls once they've been separated from the group. So now we're back at home. Where do we go from here? Well, the farmer's going to bring in his heifers and separate off those 12 that he potentially has for sale. I'm going to go back in about 10 days time and have a look at them. If I like them, I can buy them, and they're in calf, so they're due to calve in March, which is perfect for us because that's when we're calving anyway, so they slot straight in with the herd. The idea is that we have those 10 or 12, and it gives us a good test pot to see how we get on with the breed. If we only had one or two and we had some trouble, you know, if we had two, for example, we had some trouble with one of them, it's a 50% chance. It doesn't give you a very good average. Whereas if we have 10 or 12, that's like 8% of our herd in total, and it just gives us a good eyeballing of essentially how things might progress moving forward. If we get on well, then we can continue down that route. If we don't get on well, it's okay, because I already have a group of blue bulling heifers that were last year's calves on the farm. So now is the best time to do something, because ultimately if we get on well, we could always sell out those blues and buy in more of the stabilizers in the spring before we bull them in June. If we don't get on very well, we've still got 12 months if we keep those blues to find an alternative direction forward. So I think now is a good time to start and look at doing something different, and that's really what the plan is. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it all works out. Something else that I think is really important, that actually drives me a little bit towards the stabilizers, is that they have done a huge amount of research into carbon production from cattle and compared their cattle back to the UK average. And what they have found is that they have created a market with Morrison's to produce beef at a 10 pence per kilo premium for bull calves finished between 12 and 14 months. And those bull calves, because of the efficiency of the cattle and way that they put on weight compared to the amount that they are fed, ultimately they have had a methane reduction of 40% compared to the UK average, which is massive. That is absolutely enormous amount of reduction in carbon. Now, I think that's really important because consumers are obviously getting badgered about their red meat consumption, and if we can, as a company or as a farm or as a industry, reduce our methane production, ultimately that's going to keep all of the consumers on our side, and it's going to keep people eating red meat when we know as an industry that it is the methane and the carbon production from red meat is not necessarily a bad thing. The reason for this is because animals, as they graze, obviously produce carbon dioxide and produce methane. That is then elevated up into the atmosphere, and it stays in the atmosphere, and as the plants then regrow, it is sequestered by the plant and excreted by the roots of that plant into the soil via something called carbon excitate. And the carbon excitate increases the soil health, and it increases the nutrient efficiency between the soil and the plant. And then obviously the plant grows, and the healthier the plant is because of this carbon that's in the soil, the better that it grows, and then the more cattle that we can graze across it. And it becomes this cycle. As soon as you graze it again, it all restarts. As opposed to the fossil fuel industry, which mines fossil fuels that have took millions of years to create, and they are then burnt, and then they are gone. They are dead, and they're in the atmosphere, and there's nowhere for them to go. So actually, cattle production, the methane from cattle production, isn't necessarily a bad thing because it is kept within the cycle. So yeah, ultimately, I would love to know your opinion. What do you think on what my plan is? Do you think it's a good idea? Honestly, stick something down in the comments. Do you think there's another breed I should be looking at as well? Stick it down in the comments. Just, you know, fire away. Always happy to engage and to hear what other people have got to think. We've been busy this week as well, doing some more concrete, shuttering walls in. I've got a load of milling to do. Got so many things that we've essentially showed you last week, so that's why I did a different video. Next week, however, I'm hoping to have my bucket. I still haven't got it. It's Friday now, and I haven't got it. I'm hoping that I'll have it. It's supposed to have been in today, so fingers crossed we'll be able to do a bucket video. If not, my dad's super keen on doing a video on rotational grazing. We've still got some cows out now, so we'll go and show you our setup. We'll show you how we run it with the buggies, all of our reels, how we move fences, and the pros and cons of doing it. And I think that could be a really good video. There wasn't anything really like that when we were looking at doing rotational grazing, so hopefully that will help somebody out if you're thinking about the idea. So yeah, let me know. Is there any videos you want to see? Stick them down in the bottom. Be really interested to know. Until next time though, give me a like, give me a subscribe. Have a good one. See you soon. Bye.